And we're back, baby. Welcome to Sort of the Story. I'm Janey.
I'm Janey Part 2.
And I'm Max, the beginning.
And I'm Max Origins.
Ooh, and
The
I'm
prequel.
Max Endgame.
And I'm Mad Janey.
Oh my god, and I'm Janey Max. Anyway.
Alright. I'm actually Max.
And I'm also Max.
As far as anyone knows, I'm Max, she's Janey.
Okay, I'm turning down the microphone.
Alright.
Well, if you're thoroughly confused, we've done our job. We are here to tell each other some stories. Also, you are here as well.
That's true.
This is releasing closer to Christmas. So already, if you're listening to this, we have blown through all of Hanukkah. That's our bad. We don't know how recordings work
Happy
yet.
belated.
Or, yeah, we don't know how any of the scheduling works, except now I realize this is releasing later on in December. So if you're hearing this, I just came back from Thanksgiving break. We have spent several days apart, and we did not do well.
No. I mean, I did fine.
I was
made
also okay.
150 chocolate chip cookies.
That's a cry for help, man.
It's a cry that everyone can enjoy.
I certainly can. There are multiple boxes of cookies in the kitchen, and now there are one less box.
Fewer. All right. So we're going to tell each other some stories. I'm going to go first because Janey went first last week.
And I am excited to hear it. So hold on to your butts, losers.
Please don't bully the listeners
anymore.
No.
Never. They're here for this edgy humor where I call them pieces of shit. Also, this isn't for children. I forget to say this every episode, but don't listen to this with your kids.
Yes.
Unless your kids are, fucking rad.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All true.
Let's do
All right, so my story this week is called The 3 Precious Packets.
Ooh.
I know.
I like the alliteration.
This is from a collection of stories called, descriptively, Chinese Myths.
Yeah.
It is a bargain bin collection from Books A Million. It has a massive sticker on the front that still says $4.97, which is twice as much as I paid for it.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys have been to a Books A Million recently, but it's super depressing.
Are they
It
still?
is.
I don't think there are still Books A Million.
There are.
Really? I thought
Barely.
Which other one was? There was one of them that was. Which was the one? What am I thinking of?
Brookstone?
No. Brookstone is still around. That's like an
I don't think
airport
so.
staple.
I have no idea.
There's another one.
Bourbon.
Can we start a book bar called Book Bourbon?
Bourbon Ham.
Oh.
Yeah, Books A Million. I went to the one up by Charleston last summer, which is when I got this aptly named Book of Chinese Myths. And it is 15% books that have been published recently and also classics. Just the things that you would find in a bookstore.
Yeah. And
then the remaining 85% is split into 45% books about the Bible and 40% anime mangas. And so it's a weird place, and it was also mostly empty. So this is one of those books that you get in the bargain thing at Barnes & Noble. So I tried to do some more research on this story and figure out where it actually comes from. However, Chinese myth is really tricky because Chinese mythology comes from a combination of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism, in addition to the local lore that comes up sort of as fables. So it's really hard to tell where certain stories come from. There's a lot of there are at minimum 4 different creation myths that are pervasive throughout China, modern day China, as in terms of things that you would tell in a story or whatever. This is something that, again, I was not able to find any references on whatsoever. I have zero history on it, which is unfortunately the case with a lot of Chinese mythology. So with that in mind, this is called The 3 Precious Packets.
This is sort of that story. I mean,
yeah.
we covered ourselves, I think, in the title.
Yeah.
But if you're really wanting factual, accurate, historical anthropology, go somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also, a lot of folklore is oral tradition. So this is, in a very traditional sense, folklore, where it's only written down and we don't know why. Just, it's written down at some point, and no, it's not written anywhere previously that I could find.
Got it.
So, again, the pre-precious packets from the book Chinese Myths, edited by Jake Jackson. There once was a man. His name was Nyo. He was very, very poor, and he wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay, yeah.
He had gathered up just enough money to get to the city and to buy lodging so that he could go to school to be a lawyer in the capital city. So he was traveling from his small town to the capital to become a lawyer, and it was the middle of winter, and one afternoon it started just snowing like crazy, and it was just complete blackout snow, whiteout snow, and so he came across a little inn and he decided to stop. His budget didn't really accommodate for a whole lot of accommodations, but he had enough money that he could splurge and get a bed for the night and a bowl of noodles and a cup of hot sake. So he went into the inn. Yeah, right?
Fucking sounds like a party to me.
So he went into the inn and he asked for his bowl of noodles, and he spoke to the landlord, and he said that he was going to be staying the night. Just as he got his bowl of noodles, a very old man wrapped in tattered robes came out of the snow through the door with a gust of freezing wind, and the door closed behind him. Neo immediately jumps up. He sees that this man is freezing cold and very, very old. And he jumps up and he takes him by the arm and he guides him to the chair that's closest to the fire so that he can, sit down and warm up. The innkeeper comes over to the old man and he asks what he'll have. And the old man says that he'll just have a bowl of tea and then be on his way because he can't afford anything else. Mm-hmm. And Yo can't stand for this. He will not let this old man go back out into the snow without any food, without anything warm to drink. Mm-hmm. So he shares his bowl of noodles with him, and they finish that bowl, and then he orders another bowl, and they finish that bowl. He orders another bowl because this man is clearly still hungry. In total, they finish off 5 bowls of noodles.
Jeez.
And the old man is starting to warm up a little bit. And he says, well, thank you so much for your kindness, but I have to get going because, I can't stay the night here. I can't afford a bed. So Neo says, I'm not letting you go back out in the cold. You can have my bed. I'll sleep on the floor. And so he lets the old man have his bed. He sleeps on the floor. The next morning, they both wake up and they both depart. And as they are walking out the door, the stranger turns to Neo and he says, you were incredibly kind to me and you didn't have to be. Most people wouldn't be. The truth is, I am not just a mysterious stranger. Shocker!
Truth is, I'm actually here for the plot.
Unbelievably. Us meeting here in this Motel 6 was not a coincidence. It was.
This is total Squid Game vibes so far. Just so we know. Not to spoil Squid Games, but this is Squid Game vibes. I don't trust it. Go ahead.
So he says, I'm not actually just a random stranger. I am actually a messenger from the underworld. And I'm up here on assignment. But, you've made this a whole lot more pleasant. And so I wanted to give you a gift in thanks. And he hands Neo 3 packets, little envelopes.
Like seed packets?
Like an envelope, I guess.
Okay.
And he says, in these 3 envelopes are my blessings. Anytime that you in your life reach a situation that is hopeless, where you have no way out whatsoever, open one of these, light some incense, and open one. And so Neo is like, oh, thank you so much, random old man stranger that I met. I'll definitely do that. I trust and believe you.
Sure. And
so the stranger turns around and a wind whips up and he turns into a tornado and disappears.
What?
Anyways, so Neo is like, oh, weird. And then he keeps going towards the city.
Rad. Anyway, now to become a lawyer. Not like my whole life has changed.
So Neo gets to the city, and he begins his studies. He takes a small, cheap room, and he eats very sparingly, trying to save his money. But even as, careful as he's being with his money, after a couple of weeks, maybe a month or 2, the cost of living in the city, in addition to the fact that he can't have a job and study at the same time, means that he is almost out of money. So he decides he's going to go back home to his village and kind of go back to work and give up on his dream. And then he remembers, as he's packing up all of his things, he finds these 3 packets, and he remembers the stranger from the inn. And so he opens the first of these packets. And inside he finds a slip of paper. And the slip of paper says, go and sit outside the Bodhi temple at noon.
He's like, I wish I had opened this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Clearly somebody had a plan.
So, again, still the dead of winter, and the Bodhi temple is several miles away.
Aww.
But he, kind of last ditch effort, he puts on all of his warmest clothes. He goes and he hikes up to the Bodhi temple, and it's freezing. And he's sitting outside at the top of this mountain outside of the temple, like, what am I doing with my life? And one of the monks of the temple comes out and sees him there, and he's like, hey, can I help you? And Neo's like, if I could just hang out here for a minute, I don't know if I could just hang out here for a minute. And he's like, yeah, okay, sure. And he kind of feels bad for him, so he goes inside and he gets a pot of tea, and he brings it out and he sits with Nyo, and they start talking, and the monk asks Nyo his name, and Nyo says, my name is Nyo, and the monk reels. He's like, I'm sorry, you said Nyo? And Nyo's like, yeah, Nyo.
That's my name. It means cow.
And he says, This is a crazy question, but are you related to the late magistrate Nyo of Chinyang? And Nyo is like, yeah, that's my uncle. I'm his nephew. Same Nyo. And the monk is so excited. He shakes Nyo's hand and he's like, your uncle was our greatest benefactor. He sustained this temple for years and years. He gave us most of the money that we received. He was up here all the time. He was a deeply religious man. Before he passed away, he gave me 3,000 strings of coins to hold on to.
Whoa.
Just for safekeeping. But then he died, and I didn't know what to do with them, so I just held on to them. But you're obviously like his next of kin, so I'm just gonna leave him with you. And he was like, okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I will take that burden. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And so the monk gives him the coins. And this is a lot of money. The first time I read this, I thought he said 3,000 gold coins.
No.
It is 3,000 strings of coins.
I was just thinking, how many coins are on each string? Like,
I know.
20?
I have no idea. But a lot of money. Like, more money than he's ever seen. That's or would have ever seen, basically.
He gets immediately mugged on the way down because he's weighed down by all this gold.
He's just got, like, the strings of coins trailing behind him like the just married tin cans.
He's got a full cloak of gold coins now. There's like no like little holes in it or anything because there's so much gold that it's a solid wall.
So he hikes back down the mountain. He gets into town, immediately like buys some food and gets like a slightly nicer room and everything. And so he's set. He can study. He can do whatever he needs to do in the city, and he is good on money for a good long while.
Nice.
Unfortunately, though, he is not very good at being a lawyer.
Oh no!
So he's studying to be a lawyer, and he's taking his exams. And the first time he takes it, he fails the exam. And he's like, all right, first try, not so great. Second try, best try. And goes back in, takes the exam again, and fails again. He's like, okay, well, third time's the charm, as they say here in ancient China.
Yeah, classic ancient Chinese proverb.
So he goes in for the third exam, and he's like, this one's the one, and he fails it again. And so he's like, you know what? I am a shit lawyer. I feel like I should just go back home and go back to work because this is obviously not my calling. So he starts packing up again and he finds the second envelope.
Good. Just so you know, I'm imagining him failing because instead of saying objection, he keeps saying rejection. Rejection? Rejection? And they're like, still no. How do you not know this word?
Abjection.
Hello, subjection.
Injection. Hello?
Erection.
Sustained. So he's about to give up and go home, and he finds the second envelope, and he's like, well, worked once. And so he opens up the second envelope. He lights his incense and makes it all moody. He opens the second envelope, and inside is a little piece of paper that says, go and eat in Shu's restaurant. And he's like, did I mix up this packet with a flyer? A leaflet? But, it worked before. So he goes across the city to Shu's restaurant, and he sits down and he orders himself a pot of tea. And he sits and he kind of just waits again, and he's like, I feel like an idiot. And everyone's like, I think that guy got stood up. So he's sitting there and waiting, and in one of the private rooms near him, the walls are very thin, and he's seated in just such a way that he can hear what people are saying in this private room. So he hears two men in one of these private rooms, and they're talking, and the first man says, I don't know, man, I just feel I'm really worried about this exam because I feel like I made the questions too easy. And the other guy's like, I'm sure you didn't. Like, they've been super hard. You're doing great with these questions, man. You're great at your job. He's like, I just don't know. Like, we want to keep up the standards. I don't want a bunch of terrible lawyers to get into the practice of law. And he's like, well, tell me your questions and I'll tell you whether they're too hard. And so Nyo sits and he drinks his pot of tea and he listens and he hears all of the questions and all of the answers and they like talk about it and they're like, and it, like if someone says this, then they're gonna get like extra points. And so he's like, he like takes out his napkin and his ballpoint pen and he's like scribbling it.
His ballpoint.
and he runs off home and he like takes more notes and everything and he studies them. And then he, the next week, goes in for the exam a fourth time and absolutely aces it. Flying colors, like perfect answers on every question.
You know, the teacher's like, oh man, I did make it too easy. That idiot Nyo couldn't pass it.
I want to come back to this in a little bit, but I feel like this isn't a good guy anymore.
No, yeah, like we've officially passed like the morality.
Yeah, it's not like you help someone and now you get rewards. Now it's like, if you cheat, you deserve it because you're a lawyer.
Not only are you very wealthy now, but also you're a cheater. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man.
So he aces the test, and he does so amazingly that they offer him a position super high up in the judicial system, and within no time at all, he's a magistrate himself. And he is known for his fairness, his wisdom, and his kindness, because he always makes a point to, if anyone needs help, he will help them. Aww. You know, because he's learned his lesson, he's a good guy. I just feel like it would be more fair if he didn't cheat.
I was like, is he a good magistrate? Because he wasn't a good student.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't know, he didn't know the answers.
I know, but now he's a magistrate, so like, people are like, did he just say erection? And they're like, shush, shush, shush. He's on the Supreme Court, leave him alone.
He said it so proudly.
So he has become very successful, he gets married, he has kids. He is in such a good place that he, like, tucks away the third envelope. He's like, I don't think I'm ever gonna need this. Towards the end of his middle age, he's getting old, and he gets a sickness that none of the doctors and none of the priests can identify or cure. And he is on his deathbed, and he is like, I know how I can fix this, actually. And so he goes to his cabinet and he takes out this third envelope. And inside the envelope, there's a little slip of paper that says, make your will.
Oh, no. Oh, fuck.
And he's like, okay, cool, sick, it's my time.
I think I'm gonna die.
Never mind. I guess I die now. So he writes his will, he says goodbye to all of his friends and loved ones, and then he dies, content. And everyone in the city mourns because they all loved him so much. And that's the end of the story. I wanted to tell this story because I have a couple of things I would like to discuss.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Okay, first of all, we've already talked about this. Shouldn't be a lawyer.
No.
Shouldn't be a lawyer.
No.
If you fail 3 times and have to cheat to win, shouldn't be a lawyer.
I mean, at least he wasn't trying to be a doctor.
That's fair.
You know, I mean, I guess, like, you can fudge the law, I guess. Like, we want more lawyers that have, like, an instinct for kindness, I guess.
For sure. That said,
there are worse things.
There are worse things. Shouldn't be a lawyer.
Shouldn't be a lawyer. No.
He has enough money that he can stay and study for as long as he needs to. He can take the exam as many times as it takes. Like, it's not like he is still in that situation where he has to go home and, like, give up on his dream. He can just keep trying and getting better at it, you know? So...
I will say it's very... I've read a lot of Chinese stories. I majored in Chinese in undergrad. I've read a lot of Chinese stories. I don't think I've ever really read, like, a Chinese myth, like an older one, that had a character who wasn't smart. That had a character that was like, he's our hero, but he was a little bit dumb, but don't worry, he's a cheater. Like, it just seems like that's a value that wasn't often, like, overlooked, you know? So I'm, like, a little surprised that our protagonist is like, he was a fucking idiot, but I'm gonna imagine they give him all the answers. Thank you, Death.
That brings me to my next point.
Yes.
This stranger in the inn is like, I'm a messenger from the underworld. Here's 3 magical packets that will change your life. It's like, I looked it up, okay? Mm-hmm. I just spent half an hour researching the underworld in Chinese mythology, okay?
Yeah.
First of all, look at the Wikipedia because it's fucking insane.
So fun. So fun. Also, they had Dante's Inferno before Dante's Inferno was written.
Yeah.
Buddha goes down to... Okay, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Buddha goes down to hell and... like, basically, like, gut punches every single fucking demon and, like, lights everything on fire and releases all the souls in, like, the most John Wick way. It's so fucking bizarre and amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
my favorite part of the Wikipedia article that I looked up is the 18 hells.
Yes. Some are cold and some are hot, right?
Well, see, that's what I was saying at the beginning, how it's like a little bit of Buddhism, a little bit of Taoism, a little bit of Hinduism. Mm-hmm. The Chinese mythology, their hell is called Diyu, D-I-Y-U. And there are anywhere between, I think, 3, 10, or 18 levels of hell, depending on who you ask. The 18 levels of hell, just real quick, I'm going to read you the titles of these levels of hell.
Okay.
The hell of tongue ripping.
Yep.
The hell of scissors. The hell of trees of knives. The hell of mirrors of retribution. The hell of steaming.
Wait, just so you know, trees of knives is a level of Dante's. Like, when he describes levels of hell, there are knife trees. So, like, they stealing, you know? They're stealing from the Chinese.
Which hell's he gonna go to, I wonder?
Maybe the knife tree.
Hell of copper pillars, hell of the mountain knives, hell of the mountain of knives. Sorry,
not mountain knives.
Hell of the mountain of ice, hell of oil cauldrons, hell of the pit of cattle, hell of boulder crushing, hell of mortars and pestles, which seems tame, hell of the pool of blood, hell of the wrongful dead. Incidentally, that's where all of the Grateful Dead are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what?
Hell of dismemberment, hell of the mountain of fire, hell of mills, and hell of sawing.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
When I lived in China, sometimes we would go to this one temple that was, like, the most bizarre place, because it wasn't even really a temple. Like, I hesitate to call it a temple, but I can't remember. It was, like, a Taoist, like, look into the levels of hell. And you would go, and you would, like, they had different rooms, you'd walk by them, and they had made these really weird wax figures, like, these old-timey wax figures that are all, like, breaking, and half of them are missing fingers, and they're all, like, fading and stuff, and so it's, like, a really weird, like, creepy place. Mm-hmm. But you walk through, and it's so bureaucratic, and it's like, these are the levels of hell, and they would have, like, this is the hell of tongue ripping, and everybody would, like, be like, their mouths would be open and their tongues would be hanging out and stuff like that, but then it'd be like, this is the hell where you sign the papers in order to get to the hell of tongue ripping, and it's like, what? And then you would go and be like, oh, okay, so then you'd go to the next one, and it'd be like, this is or they didn't say hell, I think this is the hall where people decide whether or not you are going to be able to sign the papers that get you to
Jesus.
hell where you have to, like, smell an animal's butt for the rest of your life. And then the next one would be like, this is the hell where you sign those papers. And it's like, what is this? Like, every fifth one was an actual level of hell and torture, and the other 4 were like, this is the bureaucratic side where we decide what papers to sign. And I'm like, this is all hell. Pretty great.
That's really good.
If I can find pictures of it, I will share them on our Instagram.
Yeah, but also, just real quick, the levels of hell are all, like, they're based on the level of sinner that you are. So, like, the worst hells, if it can be said that there are any, are, like, for the it's specific to, like, you know, your specific sins. But also, the idea behind hell in this story, so this story specifically mentions the Bodhi temple, so it's more likely that it comes from Buddhist stories. So in Buddhist hell, the idea is that hell sort of preps you for reincarnation, where they're like, all right, you're not enlightened, so we're gonna go ahead and torture you so that next time you'll be better. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is just, so anyways, this is a messenger from the underworld, and those don't exist. Those aren't a thing in Chinese mythology. Like, there's no, like, you can't get out of hell. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no, like, if demons get out, it's, like, a big deal. So, like, this is...
Who was this guy?
Who is this? It might be one of the 18 immortals in Chinese mythology, which is also something that I briefly came across and didn't have time to research. But, like, who is this guy who's just walking around? How many packets does he have? Because he's traveling for a while. Did he only have the 3 and he was like, this guy was super nice? Or does he have, like, 30 and he's like, anytime I have to get to an inn, I'll just give someone 3 blessings.
Hopefully I only meet 10 people.
There's so much that like, it's like a story about someone becoming a lawyer, but also, like, God is there.
But also, don't worry, God is gonna be there. Yeah. There are 2 sets of footprints. No, there's 1 set of footprints. You're writing on his back. I don't remember that story. Something's happening. There are 3 feet.
Because one of you is doing,
you guys are doing the
3-legged race. Yeah.
Classic mythology.
Classic mythology.
That's super fucking interesting.
Yeah.
And also, who is that man?
Who is that man? He turned into a tornado, which is something that a lot of people do in Chinese mythology. I'm not gonna lie. I looked at 3 other stories before I settled on this one, and each one had someone turning into a tornado, but like still.
Classic tornado man.
Tornado
How
man.
do you exit after a badass exiting line?
I have a slide whistle, and I go, pew!
And then you fall through the floor like
out the door.
I guess if you just kind of wave and then walk out into the snow, it's not as good.
Yeah, he definitely wouldn't have opened those packets.
Yeah, he would have thrown them away. He would have been like, crazy old man. Anyway.
He would have Jack and the Beanstalked it. He would have gone into town and been like, a strange man gave me these magical packets. I will sell them to you for 3,000 strings of gold. And everyone's like, we don't know how much money that is. That's a lot.
Who has that amount of money?
Nobody.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Cool.
Pretty good.
Nice.
Okay, Max. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Max has a mouthful of cookie.
You were like, I was like, I'm gonna have a mouthful of cookie. And you were like, are you ready? And then you started recording.
Yep, done.
Psycho.
I pressed the record button as soon as that cookie was under your teeth.
Yeah.
As I want to do.
Beneath the heel of my tooth.
So are you ready to hear a story about trolls? Always. I know.
Always.
What I guess I want to ask is, are you ready to become even more team troll? Because every Norwegian story I read that involves trolls, they're the fucking victims. Everyone else is a fucking villain. Yeah. Anyway, I'm ready to throw some F-bombs around.
I love trolls.
Me too.
Unbeatable. They're just big fae.
Yeah.
And that's great for me.
This one, it's very obvious. Oh, I'll get into it. Okay, so this is called The Trolls and the Youngest Tomte. Have you ever heard that word before?
No, but I'm looking at it on the page and reading it as tomato.
That's what my autocorrect kept changing it to. On this, like, I typed out my notes very quickly today,
okay,
and
dweeb.
it kept changing it to the smallest tomatoes.
I wish it was his name's Tomato.
Okay, so I've been calling them Tomtes. You know them. You are very familiar with this. They are Nissa.
Nissa!
Yes. So, Nissa are mythological creatures from Nordic folklore. They are typically, like, associated with Christmas and the winter solstice and all of the, like, really homey, wintry, nice, good
Huga,
things.
as they say.
Hygge?
Huga is how it's pronounced.
Okay, you say that, but I don't believe you because of how many people I've heard argue this.
Yeah.
Credible people have argued this, and so I don't believe anybody.
I've only heard Norwegian people be like, it's Huga. So
yeah, I don't believe them.
Anyways, Huga.
They can fucking fight me, but I don't believe them. Anyway, let that argument commence somewhere.
Also, watch Hilda on Netflix.
Guys, watch Hilda if you want to know more about Nissa in a cute way.
Yeah.
That is for children.
But it's also great. It has the kind of like building cosmic horror that you want from a children's cartoon. And also a lot of Norwegian mythology, so.
It's also very comforting. Like, it feels good when you're
beautiful.
Watching it. Yeah. Guys,
anyways,
do it.
Watch Hilda.
So, Tomtes or Nissa, I'm also probably saying Tomte wrong. They are usually described as being very, very tiny, like very small, the size of little dolls. And they wear red caps and they have long beards. They're often like, that's when we see garden gnomes today, like that's what they are.
Huh.
There's little garden gnomes.
I love them even more than I thought.
They were translated later, a lot of the English translations I found out from Wikipedia. A lot of English translations would just sub out the word Tomte or Nissa with the word brownie or goblin.
Oh.
Yeah. So, like, they're often, or pixie sometimes. So, like, all of these are in the same kind of, I wouldn't say they're in the same family, but when we think about how they look, this is usually where people go to. Anyway, so
the
this
little
is
folk, right?
Just
general little folk.
They're little people. My grandmother, who was from the Philippines, called them the little people, and I do believe. And she always drew them with little red caps on, and they were tiny. So.
In Irish folklore, they're called the wee folk.
The wee folk. Yeah.
Some
so
wee folk.
Listen, these are so prominent around the world, and of course, my grandmother believed in them wholeheartedly. That I also believe in them. So. that's a little background into them. They're very strong. They live on farms. They take care of the farm animals. They are very, very easily offended if there is a lazy farmer about. And also, you have to leave them gifts as like a thank you for taking care of our farm. And if you don't leave them gifts, they will get offended and they will leave. And then you won't have a Nissa, and you will start to realize that they were doing a huge share of the work. So, it's important to take care of them and to be nice.
Sounds like my wife. Be nice to your wives.
Be nice to your wives. Yeah, and then you'll realize they were doing all of the work.
Also, do some of the work.
You know what? Actually, just everybody.
Big news.
Nobody get married. You know what? Where's Alex? I'm telling him.
Be nice and respectful to everyone that you love. Help out when you can.
Yes.
Anyways, that's the moral before the story. And this is sort of the story.
That was sort of the story. Goodbye! Alright. So this is the trolls and the youngest Tomte. So there were once 3 Tomtes. Jarfa, Taurus, and Jovik. Remember those names. You will be quizzed on them later.
Is it Jarfa or Yarfa?
TJ.
Okay.
Charfa. Again, my pronunciation is garbage, but I am choosing to say TJ as Jar.
Sounds good.
So, the farm was next to a forest, and in this forest, 2 trolls were kind of ruling this forest, right? So, we have farmland where people are living, and we have the forest where there's these 2 trolls. They're the king and queen. Their names are Skimpa, who is the queen, and Jampa, who is the king. And that is with just a J. Skimpa and Jampa.
Yampa.
So, just so you know, my autocorrect fucking hated me on this. It kept autocorrecting Jampa to Oompa. And it kept autocorrecting Skimpa to Skimpy. Oompa and Skimpy.
Those are the 2 new Smurfs.
The 2 new Smurfs. Okay. So, the thing about, and this is really important in the story, it's not important to the story, like the writer, his name is Alfred Smedberg. He clearly didn't think this was important, but me, Janey, I think this is important. They were on this mountain for thousands of years. They've been alive for a very long time, and they were here thousands of years before humans came to this area. So then the humans moved in, right? And they didn't like them, so they were constantly, like, making enemies, and the Tomtes came in to help the humans, and they were like, these trolls are our enemies, and they're terrible. And it's like, well, you moved onto their land. The trolls, and this is a quote, were large, strong, evil, and stupid. And the tomatoes, you can see this, the tomatoes were as small as dolls, but kind and very intelligent. And they always said that when they were together, it was a battle of strength versus intelligence, which is dumb and rude. And I'm not afraid to say it. So one Christmas Eve, the Tomtes were celebrating Grandfather Jarfa's birthday. He was 500 years old, but it's important to know that he was very spry still, and still had his wits about him, and still get it up. But he, nevertheless, had given up the family business of running this farm to the next one down, who is Taurus, who was 300, and so in the prime of his life, and he was perfect for running the farm. And then the littlest one was Jovik, who was a young lad of just 100 years old. He was just a wee babe. So, 100, 300, and 500. At this party, where they're celebrating his birthday and Christmas Eve, all the guests are sitting on upturned sugar boxes and little anchovy tins. I know, I literally underlined and, like, put little hearts next to every single description of how their furniture looks, because I love it.
Quick note, also, this is just the beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring. This is Bilbo's birthday party.
It 100% is! It says, he was sitting on a small table that was really an upturned sugar box, and I wrote down, babies, with little hearts. At the party, they're all sitting there, and little Jovik is like, hey, grandfather, can you please tell me stories about the trolls? They're my favorite thing. I want to hear about Skimpa and Jampa, or Oompa and Skimpy. I want to hear all about it. And so he's like, okay, well, sit back. I've got a doozy for you. He says, 800 years ago, my grandfather lived on this land. And the people that were here, they had just moved here, right, 800 years ago. Again, the trolls have been there for about 4,000 years. So the people had decided, now that I live here, we want a church. And so they decide to build a big church. And the trolls are not having it. They're like, you can't build a church here. We don't want it. First of all, this comes up later, but once a church is blessed, trolls aren't allowed in. They can't go anywhere near it and stuff like that. So they're like, no, you're not allowed to build this on our land. No. And I'm on their fucking side. So, they start to destroy it. Every night, the people will build up this church, and the trolls will go down and throw boulders down and then just knock down everything they've destroyed. So it's like taking them a really long time. And so the Tomtes start to get involved, and the grandfather's grandfather, great-great-grandfather, Tomte, is like, I need to help. So he fills a bag with ashes, and he climbs up a tree, and he hides. And when the trolls come out that night to throw their boulders, he drops the ashes down on top of them, and it blinds them. So they can't see. And so they start throwing their boulders, but they're not hitting anything, and they're all screaming and stuff like that. And then the church gets built. As soon as the church is built, a bishop comes and blesses it really quick, and then the trolls are forced to leave it alone. And so the church is built, and all of the Tomtes are listening to the story like, amazing! We're so smart! Screw those trolls! They're terrible! Take their children! So, anyway, so the trolls then move on to plan B. They're like, if we're going to have this church here, then we're also going to, they're friends with the wolves and the bears, and they made a point to be like, back then, there were still wolves and bears in this area. And so the trolls were friends with them and had a huge connection to the wolves and bears, so they were encouraging them to go down and attack all the people, right? They're like, get rid of these people, they're bad news. This is not how the story is written, guys. Really, the Tomtes and every other people are the heroes of the story. I read this like a horror story. It's like, this is sinister as hell.
Yeah, this is a story written by the victors, for sure.
100% is.
Also,
and it's being told by a native. So, here we go.
I would also like to mention that the great-great-grandfather of the Tomtes should be called an heirloom tomato.
Ooh. Yep. Yes, he should.
That's his name now. Sorry, guys.
Tomato. Yes. Okay, so the Tomtes are protecting the farms and all the farm animals. Oh, the bears and the wolves aren't attacking the people. They're attacking the farm animals. And so the Tomtes are like, you can't do that. That's our whole thing. And so they're like trying to get rid of these animals. It's a big old war. Mm-hmm. And so every once in a while, the trolls would come down and they would kidnap Heirloom Tomato, right? They were like, we need to get him out of here because he's the thing that's stopping us. And Heirloom Tomato was like really smart, and he would get out of it every time. And so around this time, Jovic starts asking, Jovic's a little one who's 100 years old but is like the size of a cherry tomato. And he is very curious. And Jovic starts asking what I call some red flag questions. So the first question he asks, he interrupts and says, do trolls really have gold on the mountain? And they say, yes, the trolls have lots of gold and treasure on the mountain. Already, I'm like, hey, guys, he's making a plan. Red flag question number 1. Number 2, shouldn't we go get some of that treasure? Why don't we just go up there and get some? And they say, oh, no. Troll gold is never a blessing. If you get troll gold, it just leads to pride and laziness and greed, and there's fighting and hatred. Like, money doesn't do any good. You don't want any of that gold up there. And he's like, all right, but you didn't really answer my question. Like, we could just go get it then. It's just that you don't like it. Okay. And then he says, is it, like, hard to find, I guess? Like, I guess that treasure would be, like, hidden, right? And they're like, oh, actually, no. Every Christmas Eve, which coincidentally is today, every Christmas Eve, the trolls actually take out all of their gold and their jewels, and they count it. And they're so engrossed with this task that they actually cannot physically see or hear anything else. So, like, anybody could literally just walk in and take it in front of them and they wouldn't even notice. So, like, you know. And Jovic's like, oh, interesting. I'm not asking for any reason, but, like, one more, I guess it would be really hard to get into the mountain at all, though. Like, the trolls live in the mountain. Mm-hmm. I bet it'd be hard to get in there. So, it probably isn't even worth going up there and stealing all the gold. And all the grandfather's like, nope, the doors open on their own on Christmas Eve. It's really weird. The doors just open right up. But if you are still inside when the church bells ring, the church bells wake the trolls up out of their weird stupor, and then, you know, like, God help anyone who gets caught in there when the church bells ring. And he's like, God help him.
This sounds like a trap.
Yeah, right? Like, this kid is like, it sounds like they're setting him up, but no, they're just dumb. I'm not on their side. So, that being said, if we have a Nissa in this house, I'm just kidding.
Just saying,
and we love you.
Let's not fight.
Yeah, let's not fight. Except that I might be descended from trolls, so you can get the fuck out. Anyway, so Heirloom Tomato, one time, this is a continuation of the story. One time, he followed Skimpy, who had stolen an ox to eat, right? So she had taken this ox and gone up the mountain, and Heirloom Tomato had followed her up and into the house. And when he got in there, he saw that Jampa, was sitting there with a big old axe and was about to cut off his ox's head, right? He's like, aha, food for us. Since I'm sure the people have been getting rid of all the food for trolls all around the goddamn mountains and they are starving now. And also they have so many ox, just give one to the trolls. Team troll. Yeah. So the grandfather, Heirloom Tomato, was like, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna help this ox. I need to get it out of here because it's one of ours. So he jumps onto the ox's back and he takes out a pin and he stabs the ox in the butt, right? And the ox jumps and kicks. He kicks both of the trolls and knocks them over, and then basically Heirloom Tomato just has to hold on while this ox runs its way back down to the mountain, right? So he's like, haha, we did it. So he tells this story, and then all of the little Tomtes start laughing, and they like clink their glasses, they have the rest of their party, and then they all go to sleep. Grandfather Charfa is sleeping in an old mitten. Yep. Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
He is. He's sleeping in a little old mitten. So that night, Chovik couldn't sleep. Everybody else is sleeping, but little Chovik, of course, cannot sleep. He's literally, like, laying up at night thinking, I want to go get treasure. Like, I want it. It's just up there. This is the one night of year. It's, like, fortuitous. It's one night of the year I can do it. And the lady of the house, like, the daughter of the house, the house they watch, is about to get married, and he really loves her, and he's like, I want to get her a wedding present. I bet they have all this jewelry up there. I want to go get her something nice for her wedding. So this little boy, he gets up, he puts on his little red hat. Oh, also, one time, sorry, I forgot this, because this is not important, but it feels like it should be. The grandfather tells one more story, and he's like, because the kid's like, hey, have you ever been up there to see the trolls? And the grandfather is like, yeah, I was up there one time. I never went up there to steal anything that wasn't stolen from us, but one time I went up there and I made it out just like, you know, by the skin of my teeth. All the doors had closed and I had to crawl out the chimney and I lost my little red hat, but like I made it out all covered in soot. And so like that was the last story he told before they went to sleep. Mm-hmm. So this kid is like, I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna get some treasure. And so he starts to walk, right? It's in the middle of the night. He has his red cap on and he's walking. And as you can imagine, he's very small, so he's not going very fast. And so like he's just trying his best. Owls apparently aren't a problem. Like he hears an owl and he's like, oh, but I'm not scared. And then he keeps going. You should be. You're the size of a small mouse. So yeah. Like, anyway.
You're just a fancy mouse wearing clothes.
He's just a tiny little grape tomato. They love him. So, after about an hour, he makes it to the foot of the mountain, right? And he starts climbing and he sees the rocks, and eventually he starts to see light coming through the rocks. And he's like, that must be where they are. So he finds a little opening and he squeezes himself through and he sees a door and he's like, I made it. And the door is kind of open so he can just push himself through. And he's in like a front hall, and he sees all of these like big bones of cattle and stuff like that, like laying their thing, and he's like, it's pretty sinister in here. But inside, deeper into this cavern, he hears, like, the clinking of, like, jewels, basically. Like, you know, all the, like, rustling of coins and stuff. So he's like, I gotta go get this treasure. So he goes through a second door, and he sees there's treasure everywhere. Like, silver stacked high to the ceiling. And he's excited, but he keeps hearing that clanking. So he leaves that room. He goes into a next one where the door's open, and he sees Oompa and Skimpy. And they are sitting in front of an open treasure chest, and they are counting the coins, right? But they're so engrossed in it that this kid is like, I bet they wouldn't even notice me. So he walks up to the side of the little treasure chest, and he starts to jump, because he's trying to get up to the top. But it's so big, and he's so small, that he's jumping, and he can't even reach, like, halfway to the halfway point. So he's like, oh man, I came all this way, and it's gonna be me being short that keeps me from getting treasure. Also, he's already seen so much treasure, but he's decided to go to the one where they are physically counting it and looking at it. Like, this guy sucks. He's also a child. I shouldn't say this guy. He's literally just a baby.
I mean...
Right, he's 100 years old.
He's 100 years old.
He's a full-on Edward Cullen.
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, this is not the Steven Soderbergh movie that I signed up for. It's no Ocean's 11.
It's, you know what? No, it's not. So, as he's about to give up, and just go back to the other massive piles of silver that he could just grab, the trolls both sneeze at the exact same time, because they're in love.
Oh!
I've decided that's not why, but like... They sneeze together or not at all. So they both sneeze. And it's such a loud, intense sound and it like vibrates the floor. It literally physically lifts Chovik up off of his feet and he flies straight into the treasure chest. So he's now sitting in front of them. They're like still like counting the gold and he's like, crap, they're gonna see me. So he brings out his little switchblade, like a tiny little greaser, and he like starts to try to defend himself and he realizes they have not noticed him. He's literally right in front of them and they are still counting. And he's like, oh, all right. Well, and he closes his little pocket watch and he puts it back in his pocket and he says, you were lucky. Then he looks through this little pile and he sees a gold chain and he's like, that would look beautiful on that woman. That's all I wanted. So he grabs this chain and he starts to try to leave. But as soon as he starts to leave, the church bells start ringing. And they are so loud that both of the trolls, who I guess are like, have a huge aversion to these church bells, because it seems a little bit like Christians hate trolls and so made it like a torture sound for them. But they both like stop counting and they throw their hands over their ears and they're like woken up out of their stupor. And so Jampa, or Oompa as my computer loves to call him, slams this chest shut, right? He's like, quick, they're gonna come and get our gold. And so he slams the treasure chest shut and they start to walk away. And Chovik is still in it, and he's like, oh shit, they're gonna leave me, and I'm gonna like starve to death inside of this chest. So he is a quick thinker, because he's very intelligent. He starts to squeak like a little mouse. And Skippy turns around and is like, oh my god, there's a mouse in there. And, you know, Oompa's like, leave it till next Christmas. Like, I don't care about a rat inside of there. And she's like, yeah, but it's gonna chew a hole through the wood, and all of the treasure's gonna like leak out. Like, we can't just leave it in there. And he's like, alright. So they open up the treasure chest and they see Chovik in there, not a rat. Mm. And Oompa says, my, what a funny looking rat. What kind of snippet are you? And Chovik says, I'm not a rat, I'm a Tomte. My name is Chovik, and I'm here to kick your butts. And they're like, cool, well, we're gonna eat you for dessert then, because you're very small, and like, how are you gonna kick our butts? So they pick him up. And he's like, yeah, let me down. And they're like, go get a frying pan. And so Skippy goes to get a frying pan. And he's like, come on, guys. It's just me. I'm just a little guy. So as he's sitting there, like, struggling, he turns around and he goes, hey, you can eat me, obviously. But, like, you don't want to eat me before you clean me off. I've got dirt under my fingernails. Gross. You guys are gross. And they're like, oh, well, okay, yeah, no, we were going to wash you. Of course we were going to wash you. He's like, you don't even know where I've been. And they're like, we were going to, like... of course we were gonna wash you, like, we're not gross. So he's like, fine. So they take him over to a well. Now there's a well in the room, and it's kind of connected to this like running like stream that's going through the room. It's like a mountain stream. And they have also tied onto the wall a wooden shoe, and it's hanging in the water, right? And it's anchored to the wall with a shoelace. And basically, I think the explanation is that Skimpa had put the shoe in the water because it would make the wood swell, which I guess is how they, like, sized wooden shoes and, like, made them a little more comfortable. Mm. I don't know how wooden shoes work. But this shoe is in the water, right? So this Chovik sees the shoe, he sees the stream, they're taking him over to the well, and they dunk him in the water, and they kind of swish him around, and they take him out. And he's like, you call that washing your food? You guys are disgusting. You don't even know where I've been. And he's like, we're gonna clean you more, don't worry about it. And he's like, yeah, like, go get the scrub brush and the soap, you gross. And he's like, fine. And so Oompa at this point, he lets go of Chovik a little bit because he turns around to go get the soap. And at that point, Chovik immediately runs over to the shoe. He uses his little pocket knife and he cuts the shoelace and he jumps inside and he sails down the river, this little stream, as the two trolls are like, hey, come back here. And they're chasing after him. And he's like, see you later, suckers. And he like waves his little red cap. Which is when I remembered that his grandfather lost a red cap in there. He mentioned it specifically. This little kid went up to the mountain, didn't look for his grandfather's red cap, and it's his birthday. Like,
it's his birthday.
Like, I thought for sure the red cap was gonna come back.
I thought maybe they were gonna see him and be like, oh, that's that asshole with a red hat who was in our house like 200 years ago.
He made it like so specific, and then like that never comes back.
Yeah, they all just have matching hats.
Yeah, they do, and it doesn't mean anything.
Sometimes a hat is just a hat.
So it says, Tomte raised his little red cap and she called, hurrah! And he made it out of the mountain, but he had no treasure with him because the first time the troll dunked him in the water to wash him off, he dropped his chain in the well. So he makes it down with no treasure, soaking wet. Everyone is really fucking pissed at him. They're like, what did we tell you? And he's like, I can't remember.
I'm too small.
Very small.
To remember.
I'm just a baby.
I'm a little birthday boy.
And
It's
then
my birthday, come on.
They put him to sleep in a bottle cap. So,
to death?
Yeah, no.
To death?
To eat it? So, they were like, kind of like, they were gonna punish him. He was like, he was expecting to be punished, but they were kind of impressed that he made it out and also really relieved. So they were like, all right, you have to just promise to never do that again. A, you don't steal anything, you earn things. So, like, we don't steal. And B, you need to promise that you're never going to go back up there unless it's for a really good reason and not just to go get treasure. And he's like, all right. And it ends with, and that was a promise he has never broken. The end.
Feels like...
They do steal stuff, like land.
Yeah, and also, like, those trolls should go stomp on the shoe that they all live in. Like, why are the trolls just okay with this? Just little assholes coming into their house and stealing their shit all the time.
100%.
Also, if they just want, like, one ox, like, you took everything that they had. You took all of their land. You took all of the animals that they raised.
Oh my god.
All of everything. What the hell are they supposed to eat?
It implies that they killed all of the wolves and bears, which is so, like, here's the thing. That's what humans do. They're like, that's a predator, and they're going to, like, attack our animals, and they're also going to, like, eat our, like, prey, so, like, we need to get rid of them. And it's like, that's so fucked up. I am team troll. I am team troll. Hi, Pepper. Are you team troll?
You're a troll.
You are a troll. So yeah, I'm looking at some of my notes on the side here. Resist colonization is on here. Old mitten. So yeah, he has an exit strategy. I did like that he knew what the shoe was going to do and he had an exit strategy. Are there no Tomte women? Which I am still confused about. Are there no Tomte women?
It's all beefsteak tomatoes.
Pretty good.
And then a lot of tomato jokes in this episode. Yeah.
There is an illustration by John Bauer we talked about last week, and it looks like the little Tomte is peeing on a rock.
It looks like the bumper sticker with Calvin of Calvin and Hobbes.
It
does.
On stuff. Yeah, like the troll is counting his gold, and then this little Tomte is hiding behind a rock, but he's hiding with his legs spread and his back to us. And
like both of his hands in front of his waist.
Like at the waist. It looks like he's taking a piss on a rock while this troll is counting.
Yeah. I want a bumper sticker of that Tomte behind a rock peeing, and he's peeing on like, I don't know, like a word that is inflammatory for, I don't know, like, use it like a Calvin bumper sticker, where I'm like, he's pissing on like the concept of Japanese cars or something.
He's pissing, he's pissing on the little family decals that they have, you know, like it's like the stick figures of like a mom, dad, and two kids, and he's like pissing on all of them. That little asshole.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
That
Norwegian fairy tales.
That is a story about the bad guys. Also, all of those things happened in either The Hobbit or Fellowship of the Ring. In various iterations. Like him being like, oh, I'm gross, you don't want to eat me. That's how Bilbo gets the trolls, the ogres, in the woods not to eat the Party of 13. Because they kidnap them and they're like over it. And Bilbo is like off to the side and he's like, don't eat them, they're full of worms. They're super gross.
Ew, gross. No, you don't want to eat them.
Yeah.
You
and
gross.
Also, yeah, and like sneaking in and everything and stealing the gold. That's just Smaug, baby.
So, do you think then Tolkien was just like taking all of his stuff just from Norwegian folklore?
Not all of it. He was a folklorist and a linguist, though, so I would not be surprised if there is a direct one-to-one line.
I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
The end. That was sort of the story.
That was sort of the story.
Guys, we hope you have a good holiday. Stay warm, stay dry, stay out of those troll mountains. They don't belong to you.
And share your noodles.
Share your noodles. Bye.